for me. And if you know Rocco, you know that he loves going to the beach.
Yes.
Summer is this time of year.
Yes, thank you.
And this was a week that people in Rocco's community of Atlantic Beach were not allowed to go on the beach. And here's the story about needles washed ashore, syringe, medical waste. And Rocco, just what was it like being in Atlantic Beach and dealing with this issue this week in Long Beach, Atlantic Beach area?
I think to speak for everybody in the community, people were outraged by it because, why would you, so seemingly, carelessly dump all this medical waste into the ocean, especially when, it's the middle of summer season, people want to go to the beach and, you're putting people's, lives in peril with, having that all dumped into the ocean. I mean, this is not just over in where I live in East Atlantic Beach, but it's also happening in Lido West as well. So it's definitely something that definitely has to be looked into and definitely has to be taken care of right away because, even though the weather hasn't been the greatest, thankfully, summer is still here and people want to go to the beach and there's a lot of livelihoods that are going to be affected by this, particularly the parks, the beach parks, Town of Hempstead will be affected by this, so they definitely need, hopefully we'll be able to take care of this relatively soon, by the time the next really good beach day happens. So it's just the sheer carelessness of such a thing is just mind-boggling to me. So I just hope that can be taken care of as soon as possible.
It's awful, and whoever dumped this stuff in the ocean, if they catch the people, they should be severely held accountable, prosecuted.
Yes.
But knowing a lot of the beach people that go to the beach, are people nervous and scared to go back to the beach, knowing that, God forbid, they could step on a syringe or come in contact with some medical waste? Are people a little apprehensive of returning to the beach because of what happened?
I haven't spoken to anybody directly about this, but I'm sure that a few people are definitely concerned about it. I mean, something like this does make you want to think twice. It's only natural. I think personally, I have a lot of faith in the town of Hempstead that they will get this taken care of, and I would think that if nobody else was really that worried about it, then that would be their similar sentiment, that they would feel that the town will get to the bottom of this. They'll get on top of getting, the beach cleaned and all that. And, we do pay a good amount of taxes here. So we would feel that would go towards a great quality of life in the towns we live in.
But on a more positive note, Rocco, again, about our beach, is that the front page story in Newsday today was the story about shoring up Long Beach, and there's a project underway, a $230 million storm protection project for the beachfront, and this is going to be critical in case we get hit with another storm. So this I think, is a very positive development for Long Beach.
I agree. I mean, as much as people might complain about the work being done right in the middle of summer, people have to remember we had gotten hit with a storm years ago, and it was very devastating. And the first couple of things that were in my mind when all the dust was settled with everything was that what's being done to prevent this from happening again. We were very caught off guard. We live in a part of the country where we are not normally vulnerable to these big Category 5 storm. Well, actually, it was a Category 1 storm. That's what I meant. But no, we're not really, vulnerable to these kinds of things. These are. But even though it's a rare occurrence, it still needs to be fixed. That way, we'll be better protected. I mean, people can complain about, all this work is being done in the surrounding areas. People are, doing construction to get their houses raised. But, these things serve a purpose. They are to help all of us. And I think that if you do that, and you take a proactive measure, then we'll be in a much better position to deal with it, if this ever happens again.
Yeah, I think, maybe some people complain the aesthetics of the beach, but the bottom line is, if you're in a beachfront community you are right in the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
And to spend $230 million to make the beach safer, the boardwalk safer, they're adding, some of the things they're doing is the 7 miles of barrier islands will be fortified. They're adding dunes, they're adding tons of sand.
Yeah.
They're going to make it a lot safer. So I think that's the bottom line, is that God forbid a really bad storm hits Long Beach.
Yeah.
People's homes are going to be safer.
Yes.
People be more protected.
Totally.
The boardwalk probably won't get destroyed like it did before. So I think this is a very needed and valuable thing that's happening, and I think it's going to be a great benefit to Long Beach for the future safety of the barrier island.
I agree 100%. I mean, if it can be done and, you know, we could put it all together, then, you know, it'll all be worth it. And then you got to think long term when it comes to this stuff. You know, you can't be, you know, thinking too much about, oh, how is this going to affect me today? You got to think about how it's going to affect you 5, 10 years from now. You know, God forbid another storm on the level of Superstorm Sandy ever comes back to Long Beach.
That's great. So we're happy this is taking place,
Yes.
and if it makes the beach safer, then it's going to be great for the long term. Because one thing you can never predict is the weather.
Right.
And you know, when storm season hits, and God forbid we get hit with another horrible storm,
Right.
having all this in place is just going to make things a lot better and safer. And I think for the long term
Yes.
aspects of Long Beach, this is a great thing. So glad they're doing it.
Right.